right, we'll go ahead and get started. It's about 5 after. We might have a couple stragglers coming in. First, let me start off with, I want to thank you all for being here. I don't think this has been done before. My name is Troy Williams. I'm the Code Compliance Director. Behind me is my team, Glenn, Ross, Brian, Billy, Brian, Mark, and Brian. We have a few Brians. Darlene's the admin assistant, and Andy Peters, our IT director. So we felt it important to try to get together before the season started to share our expectations, hear your concerns, and just kind of make this process more efficient. Again, smoother, quicker, more efficient SDR experience for you, your clients, us, and the Destin community. If you haven't already signed in, we've got sign-in sheets over on this side of the room. It's important that we have your all's information. This meeting is being recorded, and we're going to email out a copy of it or a link to it, and the PowerPoint presentation, just so you have it. I've got the room from 1 to 5. I don't think we'll need it that entire time. I suspect this would be an hour and a half, but we'll definitely take questions at the end. If you have questions that when we talk about something specific, just raise your hand, feel free to ask, and we'll work together through it. So, what happened? There. All right, our short-term rental registration guide, it can be found on the city's website. Under the top bar, it says "I want to." If you take a look, there'll be a number of items, and one of which will be short-term rental registration. There's a step one is check for eligibility, and Billy Morales is going to talk a little bit about these after I get done saying them. Step two is obtain your Destin BTR receipt, your Florida dwelling license, your Florida Department of Revenue resale certificate, and the notarized affidavit of bedrooms and parking. And then you're going to register it online. This is an important note. We must go by the number of bedrooms by what's listed on the Okaloosa County Property Appraiser's website. If you have something different, you're going to need to work it out with them. So that's what we have to go by. Billy, so you've got comments you want to make? You don't need to turn your mic on?
Yeah. Okay. All right, hello everybody. My name is William Morales, or Billy, as some of y'all know me. I'm sure I've spoken or met or emailed or sent a violation to some of y'all in the past. The registration guide, it's pretty much the same. Nothing's changed from last year. It's the same old, do it all over again. Back in 2022, we had 900 registrations, and that 900 was in December. People were registering all year. The December ones was because I had to send out violation notices. Our goal was not to do this until December. We want this to be done by June, before the season kicks off. So in 2023, we sent out these postcards to all the owners on record. So in 2023, we had 900 registrations by June. So that was our goal. That frees us up to go after the ones who have not registered yet. So we got up to 1,200 for last year. We sent these out again for this year. We're hoping for even more by June. So that frees us up during the summer, so we can get more accomplished.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
On a number of these that we've sent out last year and this year, they have gotten returned to us. And I know we've had the sign-in sheets with address, for your name, addresses, and whatnot. And we'll say it a number of times today. Information is highly important, or the contact information for us in order to be able to reach somebody. Because if we're sending you a violation or somebody a violation, the property owner, and they live in California or Oregon, and they have another violation a few days later, they still haven't gotten the first one. So it's important for us to have, contact information. And again, a lot of these have been returned because they didn't reach the owner.
Right. So, like I say, we want these houses to be registered before June because we want to go after the ones who have been flying under the radar. You people here today and the ones online, y'all registered. Y'all are the only ones here that are actually registered. We want to go after the ones who've probably gone through years of not registering, and that's not fair to y'all. Y'all paying that $500 to $700 and they haven't paid anything for years. With everything out the way here, and now that we have more of a bigger crew now, the staff, we are able to go after the ones that don't have the signs up, who are probably not using VRBO or Airbnb, and, trying to use some website you never heard of. That gives us more time to go after those ones that haven't.
Yeah, jump on something.
Yeah.
Something to say there. I took over in April of last year. One of the things I heard is, hey, we need code to do this, we need code to do that. You oversee the STR process, you oversee the livery registration process, just to name a few things. Obviously, with nearly 1,200 STR registrations, with a staff of roughly 6-7 people, was really difficult for us to do. I asked the council, can we hire additional officers? So they gave me 5 new additional full-timers and 2 part-time positions. We still have a part-time position open, so this allows us to quicker address some of your issues, needs, concerns with the STR process, along with a number of other things. So.
All right. So, yes, like I said, our goal is to get everything, hopefully 90% registered before June. The late fees are still the same. After March 31st, it's $100. If you register after May 31st, it's $500, all right? And this is more towards the rental companies. These late fees go towards the property owner. If the property owner had company A last year, and then next year they're like, hey, I'm gonna go with your company this year, let's onboard in April. When you register that property in April, you will get that late charge. Why? Because it's based on the property owner, not the company. And it goes to, if it happens in June, it'll be $500. If they're sitting on the fence not knowing if they're gonna stay with the company or not, and they're like, and the company's not sure you're gonna stay with them, and they're like, well, I'm not gonna register this property if my client's gonna jump ship in a month. Sorry, we're not gonna keep track of that. When it comes, wherever we get that application in, if it's been April or in June, same owner from last year, it's the late fee. One thing we tried last year is we're putting the decals on the signs this year. The reason for that is because, well, there's 2 reasons. Sometimes the signs are not correct. Someone is putting more occupancy than what they're allowed on their sign. If there's something wrong on the sign, you don't get the sticker. The other problem was, and I'm not saying everyone, there's just a few. You would come get the sticker, you may take 2 weeks before you decide to put it up, or you may forget it. So what we're doing is, we're putting a sticker on if we can reach it. If it's on the balcony, in a window, or somewhere where you just can't access it, since we have more staff, we will contact you and you will meet us at the property to give us access. We will confirm the sign is correct, we put the sticker on, your registration's done. We're hopefully going to do that before June, because I know we don't want to interrupt your guests in the middle of the day to put a sticker on.
Yeah. So obviously, the quicker you get registered and filed, the quicker we can then, process it and respond out. If you have an issue with your BTR, you're going to want, we do not handle the BTRs in code. You'll want to contact Sherry Burney from the Community Development Office. That's the person to contact, reference your BTR.
Yes, and like I said, since we have more staff, we know the turnover days are on the weekend. We can put these stickers, we can meet you out on the weekend to put these stickers so you don't have to serve as guests if it's, before check-in.
Currently, we now have staff 7 days a week from basically 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So we have the ability to meet you at different times in different locations.
Right, and we will work with you because I know some properties have, some companies probably have 20 properties that we can't. No, we're not gonna go hit 20 in one day. We'll say, okay, let's hit 5. If you have 5 in a certain neighborhood, let's hit 5 that day. Next weekend or so, if you got 5 in a certain group, we'll knock those out.
Do you want to speak anything about the registration process itself? It's online, but is there anything you want to mention?
No, like I said, it's just the same old as it always been. If you still have your affidavit of bedrooms and parking, and no ownership has changed, you can just reuse that again. And the same thing, if you're using Airbnb or VRBO to collect your taxes, like I said, just upload that note where it says resale tax certificate, just saying so. This is, like I said, same as last year.
Any questions at this time? Beautiful.
Nope, got one in front of you.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Are we going to talk about the renewal process of our STR? Currently, you have to go in and just next, and then submit. Will there ever be like a renewal button? Has anything changed? And we skip all of them?
Not in that regard. The business tax receipt, you can renew. And the reason being is because you don't have to upload anything new to it.
Okay.
The problem with the system is you cannot renew a short-term registration because you have to upload your current dwelling license, your current BTR and all that. That's the only downside of it, is just, it's a do-over.
Yes, sir.
David, using that information that changed over years, not gonna add bedrooms, things like that, could that not be expedited as well?
Well, that is kind of manually done. Yes, I know in the program, it tells you to enter the bedrooms and parking spaces. But the thing is, I've come across where people permitted to add bedrooms, so it may have changed from year to year.
There we go. I know Billy talked about it, but the STR must register by March 31st. There's a $100 late fee if it's after March 31st. There's a $500 late fee if it's after May 31st. An incomplete application or signage could net you a $25 fine. Obviously, I'm sure you want to avoid fines. We would like to see you avoid fines, but obviously the city's got to have something in place. For additional information, see the Destin, Florida Code of Ordinances, Chapter 13, Article 4, Registration of Short-Term Rentals.
Hey, Troy, just a reminder that teams can't hear unless the askers come up to a microphone.
Okay, I will repeat their questions. Okay. Registration, your registration fee is based on your square footage according to the Okaloosa County Property Appraiser's website. Less than 2,499 square feet is $500. Between 500 and 4,999 square feet is $600. And greater than or equal to 5,000 square feet is $700.
And
Yes, sir.
that's based on total square feet, not just the heated.
Yes, ma'am.
Including balconies. Did the Florida state law that passed this last year change did it cap the fees?
She's asked, did the Florida state law change this year and cap the fees? Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of it.
I'm not aware, but we will look into it and provide an answer for you.
Okay.
Write that down. All right. Again, we talked about it once before, a couple times, but it's important information. The owner's name, address, email, and a telephone number, property management company's name, contact name, telephone number, and an email, and property manager name, telephone number, and email. Some of the time, sometimes because we have these things, let me say that again, returned, or we'll send out, notice to the property owner. We'd like to include the property managers or, the property management companies in an email, so you're aware that these citations, these violations are going out, so you can address them quicker, or in, conjunction with the owner. But again, if they live New York, Oregon, California, it's going to take a week or so for them to get notice. Meanwhile, they could have another 2 or 3 violations and they don't even know about the first one. So the more contact information we have, we think it will help us solve some of these issues. Obviously, it's like I said, you want to make sure your clients have a great experience. You report to the owner. We're the ones that kind of oversee the process. But we also have the Destin community that's affected by the number of short-term rental visitors that come here throughout the year. And so we want to make this entire thing as easy as possible for everybody.
All right, I got one more thing
Yes.
with registration,
Go ahead.
and that'll be the last one. This is just for a very minority, very few. The grandfather certificates for the occupancy, that expires this year. We're gonna let it run for this year. Starting in 2025, it'll be 2 people per bedroom plus 4 for everybody. That had the grandfathers. Everyone else is the same. Yes,
That's unless there's a Bert Harris cell
correct,
on file with the city. I think there are about 60 of them.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that doesn't include Bert Harris.
Other questions? She mentioned that this does not include the Burt Harris, what's the caveat? Signage. Signage must be visible from the roadway. Code compliance, again, officers will be the ones that putting the sticker on the signage. We're going to try to do a better job this year of, you know, checking out your signage, make sure it's correct, and then you'll get the sticker. A lot of times we get a report or a complaint about something because, hey, this, property is not a registered STR, and if our code officers are driving out there, it's a lot easier for them if they can just be able to see the sign than have to get out of the car and, stop at a dozen different places to confirm versus being able to visually see it. So please be aware of that. Our top 3 STR issues: the noise ordinance, trash cans, parking. Questions on any of these? Yes, ma'am.
Is there going to be any discussion on the fee structure on the parking? Since the short-term rentals is different guests every week, it doesn't seem fair that it's the sliding scale that goes up to $500. The first one's a warning, the second one's $100, the third one's $200.
Yeah, basically, she asked if there's going to be the parking fee or fines, if there's going to be the way it's administered. That's something we're looking at internally. Obviously, I can make 2 arguments. I can make one where, you're the owner of the property and you have due diligence to make sure that the rules are followed. And so, you're the fine, you get a fine in, this week. 3 weeks from now, you got another issue, the same issue. The next fine could be the higher fine.
But it's a different guest.
However, the other argument is it's a different guest. So that's something we're discussing internally.
Okay, and then on that same idea, are you following up and saying,
We've had situations where our property was vacant and someone's parking in front of our home, and we
One
have
second,
no way
please.
of knowing who they are.
So there's a question on Teams, a lady commented that maybe the STR was either hers or a neighbor's STR was vacant at the time and somebody was parking in there, and so that owner got the citation. I mean, we'll try to sort through those as they, happen. I mean, I would imagine those don't happen too often. Again, that's why the more information that we get, the better. And we have, again, I've got 15, including myself, staff. We're still waiting on one more part-timer, so we have the ability to check quicker and more often with people. And so again, that sounds like maybe it's a one-off, but if, we get told something, we will investigate it. And if we find out that, hey, there was a mistake made, we're not against, working through that. Yes, to finish, yeah, go ahead.
the other question I had was, are you going, like, we got a parking violation for one car too many. It wasn't on the street, it was in the driveway. It really wasn't a problem, it was one car more than the sign had stated. And, the citation was issued at 11 o'clock. When I contacted the guest, when I found out about the citation, they said that person didn't stay overnight, that person left around 12:30. So how are you going to, do you go back in the morning and take photos?
Hold on. Her question is about parking and, a car being there at 11 and being cited, and is it overnight? The statute basically says, the amount of parking overnight. And so again, this is another thing that we're looking at. I'm of the belief, if there's available parking during the day and you're not blocking the sidewalk, you're not parked in the right of way, you're not parked in the yard itself, which would be a violation, that should be allowable. It's where after hours, that you have the overnight, if extra people staying there or extra cars, that it becomes an issue. So to answer your question, if it's, that's what we're going to go by. If it's overnight, but again, catch-22 is our officer ends at 11, so.
Well, and I called the next day and said the guest told me that person had left, but it was too late, it had already gone to Volusia County, and we had to go to court on it.
Okay. And, I mean, can I ask what happened at court?
Yes, they waived it.
Okay, and again, and that's the process. If there is something that, occurs and either it didn't get reported back to us in time, there might have been something, some extenuating circumstances or something we didn't know. I mean, there is a process in place, and just because a citation is issued does not mean guilt or an admission of guilt. That's why, you go to the court and you explain your side, and I think, in my experience, in the short time I've been here, the judges and magistrates have been more than fair. Other questions? We're going to work our way this way? Yes.
Does the clock start in the new year to back to $100 for children and $100?
That's a great question, and that's something, her question was, does the clock start over in the new year? Again, I can make, and that's something we're discussing internally as we prepare for the season. Hypothetically, let's say we have a property that is, let's say they have poor property management, and it's constantly a violation. I can make an argument that those fines should continue. I can make another argument that says, hey, it's a new year, let's start over. I'd like to believe that's where we're headed is, hey, it's a new year, let's start over. But we will put out this information to this group, and again, hopefully we have all your contact information before the new year starts. Yes?
How about as far as like maintenance people, if they're parked in your driveway incorrectly because they didn't know? I mean, is that a citation?
If it's reported to us or observed by a code officer, if we get there and we get out of the car and the maintenance guy walks up and we're able to have a conversation with them and they can move it or change it, then, no harm, no foul. If, we're not able to talk to somebody and it's a violation, more than likely there's going to be, at least a written warning. Because we won't know, if it's a maintenance vehicle, if it's a tenant, if it's, who's ever visiting. So, does that answer your question?
Okay.
Yep, somebody online have a question?
Yeah, I had a quick question. In regards to the parking, so the grandfather certificate we've got expires this year. We've only got 4 spaces. The house next to us that was just built has quite a bit more of the same parking. Are they going to reassess? When we get these redone, do they reassess any of that, or is it just we apply and get a new certificate? Or how can we ask somebody to maybe give another evaluation? Because that has been one issue with parking in the street, which a couple of times it was just, we were trying to get people moving around and somebody was backing up and they got a ticket before the other person could even get the car back in the driveway.
We've got Steve O'Connor, Principal Planner for the City of Destin here in attendance, so he's going to jump on the speaker real quick.
So when it comes to parking for all the agreements for the legal non-conforming houses, it's tied to the occupancy. And so long as the occupancy of the home, meaning the addition of a new bedroom or whatever would trigger a change of use for the STR, then no new parking would be assessed. So if you currently have 4 parking spaces, but you have 5 bedrooms, that will remain until such time that the site or the home is redeveloped in such a manner that triggers the change of use. And at that time, then the site would be required to meet current code at that time. Does that answer your question?
7 bedrooms is what it's certificated for, and it sleeps 19. So do you think the 4 is still valid, or is that too low? We're just using what was given to us when we bought the property.
Yeah, so
That's like an odd ratio.
yeah, so if you currently have 7 bedrooms but only 4 parking spaces, that is what's called a legal nonconformity. And despite the agreement that you currently have, the occupancy is not of no consequence at this point, because the agreement that's currently in place allows you to have extra occupancy. At least that's my understanding. Once that goes away, you have to meet the existing occupancy limits that we currently have on the books. As far as the parking goes, so long as you do not add a bedroom to the home, you will not have to meet the current 1 parking space per bedroom. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So what we have now, 19 and 4 spaces should continue.
So again, the occupancy is not what we're the occupancy is not what we're looking at. We're looking at the bedroom count. If you currently have 7 bedrooms on the home, which is what I thought I heard you say, so long as it remains as 7 bedrooms or less, then no new parking will be assessed. The moment the bedroom count increases from 7, at that moment, the new parking spaces shall be required up to the number of bedrooms that are proposed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Outstanding. Next question over here. Yes, ma'am.
Can you provide any sort of clarification as to noise and trash can issues? What are the most common complaints and issues that you run into? Is it noise during the day? Is it noise in the evening? Is it parties? Is it not? Trash cans, are we not taking the trash cans to the road? Are we not bringing them in? Is there too much trash, not enough cans? Just any sort of things that we can do better?
Yeah, her question was specifically noise and trash cans. What specifically about them? So we work till 11. I mean, officers are generally coming back to the station at like 10:30, processing the paperwork. So if somebody calls in a noise complaint after hours, it's going to go to the sheriff's department. Before that, it typically comes to us. I'm spent 26 years in law enforcement, former chief of police. I personally think these are law enforcement calls, but code is expected that. One moment, please.
If you're online, could you please mute your microphone? Thank you.
Thank you. I personally think these are law enforcement calls because if you're getting them after hours, and let's not kid ourselves, you know, tourist town, destination, vacation, a lot of times these calls involve a large amount of people and they involve a lot of drinking. And so, you know, again, not that anybody needs to go to jail, but I think a law enforcement officer carries a little bit more authority than our code officers who don't carry, you know, sidearms or anything like that. So typically these calls are coming in the evening hours and, you know, you have, you know, a lot of these STRs are in neighborhoods and not everybody is an STR. So if the, you know, noise is allowed and it basically, I think the ordinance says if it's, you know, plainly audible and you can hear it, I mean, it's an issue. Now, obviously, depending on the time of day, the type of, you know, noise that it is, I mean, I'll give you, for instance, we had a older Destin resident that complained a lot about screaming children in the neighborhood. That is not something we are going to, you know, nor we or the police are going to handle. But, you know, it had bothered her and we took the time to listen to her. So if it's a noise complaint, you know, we'll go there. We will ask them to quiet down. If we think there's a bigger problem or there's a disturbance, we're contacting 911 ourselves and having the sheriff's department come out and address the situation. So does that answer your question specifically on the noise? Okay. With regards to trash cans, obviously in the ordinance, it specifies when they can be out and when they, you know, when they can go out and when they got to come back in. And I don't know if you only have Waste Management or if there's other private trash companies that you use, but, you know, oftentimes we get reported, hey, the trash can's still sitting out and it's, you know, past the time. And so what we've instructed our officers to do is like, you know, we're not going to be somebody's personal, you know, trash can, you know, remover. However, you know, if the officer feels like, hey, you know, you show up in a neighborhood and there's one out, he or she may, you know, move that if it's a first time offense and you know, email the property manager like, hey, we did this for you this time, you know, but don't expect it, you know, again. You know, if we get a call where a neighborhood has got, you know, several of them out, all right, you know, did Waste Management show up, you know, or were they delayed in getting out there? You know, is there a reason for it? So we try to take, you know, those different things into account, but if somebody calls and makes a complaint and under Florida law, you have to, you know, identify yourself and provide a, you know, phone number and an address. We're obligated to go check these things. And again, we will check the history of the property to see if we've been there before and what actions we've taken. And again, if it's a property that we've been there a lot, I mean, there's a chance, you know, there's going to be some, you know, extra documentation, whether it's a citation or whatnot. So does that answer your question? Sir in the back.
An operational question about STR issues. We'll use trash cans as an example. When there is a trash can that's out a day late and code enforcement sees that, what is their next step? Is it an attempt to contact the homeowner, which would take weeks or months, or is it immediately contact the the guest, property management company? What's the first step?
I mean, it can be a number of things depending on the situation. You know, we can get out of the car, go try to knock on the door, I mean, see if somebody's home. We will likely, first thing we'll likely do is check the history to see if we've been here before and what issues there have been. His question was specifically with trash cans, what is our process and how we handle those? You know, again, getting this, and I think going forward, we're going to kind of work through this because, you know, we're looking at internally all our processes and how we do things. So, you know, I think there is some value to trying to reach out to the property manager to like, hey, this is out there, can you get it back in? I mean, we would document that internally with one in our notes section. That may not necessarily, you know, probably be a written warning. We might consider it a verbal warning. And again, if it keeps happening, then, you know, we might just issue the citation. So, you know, I think we would like to make some contact with somebody to try to resolve it but again, if we're doing that you know, if these turn over every week and we're having to call every week, then that becomes a problem. That's extra work for us.
The reason I'm bringing this up,
Yeah.
we had 2 violations in our homes last year.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't find out about either one until after 60 days after the fact.
Okay?
Which makes it difficult to assess, was it the actual guest that
Sure.
threw the cans on our team? Was it the neighbor borrowing the cans?
Yep.
Everything happens here. And so if we could at least be notified within 24 hours, I think that would help a lot with the community getting the trash.
Yeah, and I'll keep repeating it, and it'll beat a dead horse. If we have contact information, our goal is this year is to get contact with somebody via email, phone call, you know, certified service, although we know that takes time, but in conjunction with that, we want to send out the emails to like, hey, let people know. So, yeah, Billy wants to say
And
something.
let me add that to that. It's also the emergency contact number on the sign. That has to be correct. Someone has to answer it. I get during business hours, it pretty much still answer it. But sometimes we may have to call after 10 o'clock. The sheriff's department needs to be in touch with you too, in case. Spring break is coming up. They're going to act wild, as you know, and the sheriff's department's going to get called out, and they're going to have to evict them. They cannot evict them until they get either the owner or the property manager's blessing. The only way they can get in contact with you is what's on that sign, the phone number. If it's answered, yes, it may be 2 or 3 in the morning. If it's answered and they say, hey, we got to get these kids out of here, you say, yep, do it, it's done. If they can't get in contact with you, it is what it is. They're just going to let them be. And then who knows, you know, well, I know they go pay a deposit for the damages, but kind of like to avoid that.
Other questions? Sir, we get your question answered?
No.
No? What else can I?
I'm still trying to figure out what the procedure is. Because if there's a phone number on a sign in front of the house, why aren't we getting those calls when there's an operation issue? Why is it a letter that can take months to get to a homeowner in another country? That's what I'm
Right.
trying to understand. Is there a better way that we can do that?
And again, we're looking at all our internal processes. We are within our right to issue a citation or a written warning. Again, I think what you're hearing from us is we would like to, in this new season, try to make contact with people. But again, depending on the violation, you know, if trash cans, because it's easy, but if it's a trash can that's out there, somebody calls in, you know, and we're trying to make contact with somebody, hypothetically, we can't make contact. That violation is still occurring, it's still sitting out there. We're probably likely going to get other phone calls on it. And so then we got to go through the whole process of trying to, you know, answer the complainant and tell them, hey, this is what's going on. So that's one reason to like take action then. And I get your point, it's like, hey, we'd like to be noticed so we can take action. So again, if we can make that happen, I think that's going to be our goal. And so hopefully that can resolve the issue quicker because we don't want to have to keep responding to the same place if the violation's still occurring. Does that make sense? Okay. Does that kind of better explain it? Awesome. Other questions? Yes, ma'am? Okay.
Does the trash can in particular, is that all residents of the city of Destin, or is it just the short-term rentals?
The trash can ordinance is just for short-term rentals.
Her question was, is the trash can ordinance only for short-term rentals? And yes, it is.
Is that the same for parking too? Just for rentals?
Yes.
Yes.
Parking is just for short term.
Parking is just for short-term rentals. Yes, sir.
I've got to put somebody online that their microphone's not working.
Okay.
This is about signage. We've registered on time, but then our sign company gets behind. What's the recommendation on getting signage up in time before they come through and inspect and place the decal?
Great question. So the question was, they registered in time, the sign company was behind in getting their signage done. What recommendations do we have to help this process out? Billy, do you have any recommendations?
All right, by code, once you register, you have 7 days to put up your sign. The majority of your signs are already up. I'm very reasonable. I know I have been asked this before. If there's a delay, just let me know, either by email or phone call. Well, probably best by email. I'll have my cards out here. Just let me know. I'm here to work with you.
Yeah, you can just kind of piggyback on what Billy said. If we know about something, my motto has always been, if I can't fix it if I don't know about it. If you have an issue, reach out to us, then we can work with you. If you tell me the sign's going to be, 90 or 120 days out, might need to find a new sign company. And I don't expect that to be an issue, but that just, if we know about it, we will try to work with you. Yes, sir.
Are the fines set for this year? Because I know last year we got a couple of fines where we paid them. A couple months later, we got another letter that said we had $500 because of the wrong amounts put on. And so we're having to send a check for $500.
The gentleman asked if the fines are set. The fines are stayed the same at least for a couple years, correct?
For now.
For now. The council may decide to up them, but I think what you're saying, I think the Okaloosa, government or clerk's office, there might be a $5 processing fee. I think that's where that's coming from. So we wouldn't necessarily include that on our fine. They might send it out later. I think that might be the issue.
Troy, if I may.
Yeah.
You may get a $100 citation, but when it gets through the courts, it's $105 for the processing fees at the courthouse.
Somebody else had a question? No? Yes, ma'am.
I just tried to find the state legal statutory developments for this last year. I don't see the two that have been announced by a lot of media outlets. I don't find that those were actually signed into law, so I don't think there is a cap on fees. Another one of them would have not allowed limits on occupancy for STRs unless all residential homes were limited. At the last minute, I think that failed. But I do see that there is now provision for the city to suspend the license of the STR after a certain number of violations. Do you have any information on that? As far as, it would have just been November.
Basically, her questions specific to maybe some recent laws that passed or didn't pass, one of which was there going to be a potential suspension of the STR registration for that particular address if they're in violation of something. I don't have any specific information on that. That's something I have to check with the city attorney on. But we're pretty good about, keeping in communication, and so it'll be a question that we ask her. Let me write that down.
What we currently have is if there are a certain amount of citations issued, we can go before city council to revoke their registration. It's not set in stone how many, and we've never actually had a problem house that much to where we're having to do 10 $500 citations. It's never got to that point yet.
2 seconds. All right. Other questions at this moment? No? All right. There. Oops. Hold on. Basically, we talked a little bit about it, but the code compliance process, we receive a complaint via online reporting, email, phone call, in person, or observation by a code compliance officer. We arrive on scene, make a determination. We'll check prior history, and then we'll determine a course of action. And again, it can be a verbal warning, it can be, a conversation, written warning, or citation, depending on the type of offense, the seriousness of offense, the number of times that this same offense has occurred. And then, again, ultimately, our goal is to achieve compliance. And hopefully, I think, if you haven't already kind of figured it out, we're looking to become a more professional, more community-engaged department than maybe you've experienced in past years. We're all trying to work together to make this, easier experience for everybody. But, we are the enforcement arm of the city, so, there'll be times where we do have to issue citations. But I think we can we all believe this, that we can do this in a more efficient way, a more professional way, and try to work together on this. Particular questions? No. All right. STR contact information. So you've got, and we will, again, email out the PowerPoints. I can email out the Zoom meeting itself. That's the top phone number is the City of Destin mainline, and from there you can, reach code. I've got Billy Morales's, and all our addresses, our email addresses are first initial and our last name at cityofdestin.com. So these are direct lines to our desk. So Billy, Darlene, the admin assistant who helps out with STRs. Fritz, although if he doesn't know it, he's helping out with STRs this year. Myself as the director, and again, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department dispatch. Just good information to have. Again, if we know about something, we will try to work with you to figure it out. Miscellaneous, Billy talked about the grandfather expirations. This is, again, coming from a law enforcement background. I don't know how many of the STRs have Ring doorbell cameras. Might be something to consider. I think Destin, one of their top, crime issues are theft from vehicles. So, it would help the Sheriff's Department if you have an issue with a parking or trash can or something like that, and you have footage on a Ring doorbell cam that either proves or disproves something that we said or reported, might be beneficial to you. We're not mandating they have them, but it's just a suggestion. Questions, concerns, comments, anything you want to talk about? We haven't already covered things you think we could do better, things that you see as an issue. Yes, ma'am.
So if I heard you guys correctly, one thing that we can collectively do is make sure that our contact information is updated. What are one or two other things that are actual action items that we could do that would help your staff?
Again, being able to contact somebody is a big one, because from there, it then allows us to address an immediate concern. And the quicker we can get something resolved, it's gonna show the Destin community, and the renters and whoever that, hey, there's an issue, it's been reported and it's been addressed, versus, hey, I see the same issue, it's lasted for 5 days, why isn't somebody doing something about it? I would follow that question back up to what do you think from property, I'm assuming your property management, that you are looking for from us that hasn't been done in the past or might not have been suggested to us, and that you think would help you all?
Just from experience between here in Lawton County, there's a big stigma that all short-term rentals are just all issues and we do nothing great for our community, and it just that's the sense that we feel.
From Destin or from Fort Walton County?
From Okaloosa County.
Oh, from Okaloosa County.
We'll stay very specific to here.
Okay.
The problem though, and I bring this up, the City of Destin is dealing with this with the SDR impact group that they just had. The problem is that we don't actually have any sort of data. So when we say, what are the problems? What are we doing wrong? What specifically do we need to fix? Can you pinpoint the areas? Can you pinpoint the bad managers? And anyone in the room, please correct me if I'm wrong. I've never been able to actually see that data and get that back to it. So it's very hard, you said this yourself, to fix a problem that you